The Deep Space Monitoring Station Helia-7 drifted silently at the edge of human space, its quantum sensors proing the darkness between stars. Lieutenant Sarah Chen sat at her console, eyes half closed as she filtered through the endless stream of cosmic background radiation. After 3 years stationed at this outpost, she'd grown accustomed to the quietness of space until today the signal cut through the void like a knife, a pattern too regular to be natural, too desperate to be ignored. Sarah's eyes snapped open as her neural interface highlighted the anomaly. The transmission was unlike anything in the Terran database, its frequency shifting in complex patterns that spoke of advanced technology, but beneath the sophisticated encoding lay something universal: fear, control. This is Helia-7. Sarah's voice was steady despite her racing heart. We've detected a non-standard transmission. Preliminary analysis suggests it's a distress signal of non-human origin. The response from Earth Defense Command was immediate. Authenticate and forward. Lieutenant. As Sarah processed the signal, fragments of data began forming into coherent information, images of destruction, star charts marking a location deep in unexplored space, and most importantly footage of the attackers' massive ships of crystalline design. Methodic ally reducing entire cities to ash. In the century since humanity had achieved faster than light travel, they had chosen isolation, remembering the harsh lessons of their own history. Earth had been transformed into a fortress world, its people enhanced by biotechnology and hardened by generations of living on their high-gravity death world. They had watched the galaxy from afar, building their strength, waiting. Now someone had called for help. Admiral James Santos stood before the Terran Defense Council, his dark eyes reflecting the holographic display of the distress signal. The Karth are a peaceful species, he explained, gesturing to the images of the elegant beings under attack there. Civilization spans 12 systems focused on art, philosophy and scientific research. They've never developed significant military capabilities, and their attackers. Counselor Zhang's voice was sharp. The Nexus Dominion, Santos replied, his expression grim, a crystalline hive mind that expands by consuming other civilizations. They've been moving through that sector of space for the past decade, but we never expected them to target the Karth. The council chamber fell silent, the only sound the soft hum of quantum computers processing data. Humanity had spent generations preparing for first contact, building weapons that could shatter planets, ships that could outmaneuver light itself. They had become something more than their ancestors, something that the rest of the galaxy might fear. Counselor Martinez spoke first, her augmented voice carrying the weight of centuries of human evolution. We have the capability to intervene. The question is, should we? Santos straightened his uniform, bearing the scars of battles fought in training simulations against enemies just like this. The Kartha's transmission wasn't meant for us. They don't even know we exist, but we intercepted it. We saw their plea. If we turn away now, what does that make us? The council members exchanged glances, their neural networks sharing thoughts faster than words could convey. They had all studied Earth's history. The countless times stronger civilizations had ignored the pleas of the weak. They had sworn to be different. The Terran Defense Fleet stands ready. As Santos continued, the 7th Expeditionary Force can deploy within 6 hours. We've run simulations against crystalline-based life forms before we know their weaknesses. Council leader Paddle raised her hand, silence falling instantly. Humanity has hidden in the shadows for a century, building our strength, waiting for the right moment to emerge. Perhaps this is that moment. She turned to Santos, not as conquerors but as guardians. The vote was unanimous. Within hours the shipyards orbiting Mars hummed with activity. The 7th Expeditionary Force, 500 ships crewed by humanity's finest warriors, prepared for deployment. Their vessels were works of art, black as space itself, incorporating technology that had been theoretical when humanity first reached for the stars. On the flagship them up, Admiral Santos stood on the bridge watching his fleet form up. Each ship was a testament to human ingenuity, powered by artificial singularities, armed with weapons that could tear apart the fabric of spacetime. But more importantly, they carried the best of humanity, men and women who had trained their entire lives for this moment. All ships report ready. Admiral, his EXO announced. Jump coordinates locked on the Karth home system. Santos nodded, feeling the weight of history on his shoulders. Humanity's isolation was about to end, not with careful diplomacy or peaceful first contact, but with fire and thunder. The galaxy was about to learn why Earth was classified as a death world, why its people were considered dangerous. Send one last message to command, he ordered. The 7th Fleet is deploying to assist the Karth people against hostile forces. Humanity stands with those who cannot stand alone. The quantum engine spooled up, reality twisting around the fleet as they prepared to jump. Santos smiled grimly. The Nexus Dominion was about to learn that they weren't the only predators in the galaxy. All ships execute jump. Let's show them what humanity can do. 500 ships vanished into the void. carrying with them humanity's answer to a cry for help. The galaxy would never be the same. Reality twisted and shattered as the Terran fleet emerged from quantum space. The Karth home system spread out before them, a binary star casting purple and blue light across 9 planets, but the natural beauty was mirrored by war. The crystalline ships of the Nexus Dominion swarming around the third planet like angry wasps. Admiral Santos had enhanced vision, zoomed in on the scene, his neural implants processing the tactical data. The Dominion fleet was massive, over 2,000 vessels of varying sizes. Their crystalline hulls refract ing starlight in dazzling patterns. They were beautiful in their own alien way and utterly deadly. Multiple energy signatures detected. Lieutenant Commander Razor reported, her fingers dancing across the holographic interface. The Dominion is bombarding population centers. KTH defensive capabilities are minimal, they're being slaughtered. Santos nodded grimly. Battle formations execute. Plan Thunderbolt. The human fleet moved with precision that would have seemed impossible to outside observers. 500 ships, each one a masterpiece of human engineering, split into 3-dimensional attack formations. They had trained for this, running countless simulations against crystalline-based technologies. Sir Ree's voice held a note of concern. The Dominion ships aren't reacting to our presence. Their sensors, they can't see us. A thin smile crossed Santos's face. Human stealth technology developed over decades of paranoid preparation was proving its worth. The Dominion fleet continued their bombardment, unaware that death approached on silent wings. All ships weapons free. Target their command and control nodes first. Let's show them what happens when you prey on the helpless. The first shots were fired without warning. Quantum-tipped missiles phased through the crystalline shields of the Dominion vessels as if they didn't exist, detonating inside their hulls. Plasma beams precisely calibrated to the resonant frequency of crystalline structures shattered entire squadrons of enemy ships. The Dominion fleet reeled in confusion. Their hidden consciousness, used to perfect coordination, was suddenly fragmented as command ships exploded into crystalline shards. They began to turn their weapons, charging, but they were fighting an enemy they couldn't properly detect on the surface of KTH Prime. The surviving aliens watched in awe as their tormentors began dying in droves. The night sky lit up with explosions, crystalline debris raining down like meteor showers. They had never seen such devastating military precision, such overwhelming force applied with surgical accuracy. The Dominion finally managed to target some of the human vessels, their energy weapons lashing out with enough power to crack a small moon, but Terran ships twisted away at impossible angles, their inertial dampeners and quantum drives allowing maneuvers that defied conventional physics. Where they couldn't dodge, their shields, reverse-engineered from studies of black hole event horizons, absorbed the attacks without strain. Multiple Dominion capital ships attempting to retreat. Risa reported, they're trying to reach quantum jump point. Santos leaned forward in his command chair. Not this time. Deploy the gravity net. Specialized chips from the human fleet activated their most closely guarded weapon, artificial gravity wells that made faster than light travel impossible. The Dominion ships found themselves trapped, their crystalline forms gleaming in the binary starlight as they desperately try to escape. This is Admiral Santos of the Terran Defense Fleet. His transmission cut across all frequencies, translated into the crystalline harmonics of Dominion communication. You attacked a peaceful species, murdered civilians, and showed no mercy. Now you face humanity, and we will show you the true meaning of war. The response came in sharp, discordant tones that the ship's AI translated. Unknown entities, you dare interfere with the Dominion's harvest. We are the apex predators of this galaxy. Your resistance is futile. Apex predators. Santos' laugh was cold. You've never encountered humans before. We evolved on a world that tried to kill us every day. We survived ice ages, asteroid impacts, and our own nuclear wars. Everything we are, everything we've built was forged in the crucible of Earth, a planet you would classify as a death world. The Dominion ships began clustering together, their crystalline forms merging into larger structures. It was an impressive display of their technological advancement, but Santos had expected this. The simulations had predicted such behavior. All ships execute maneuver shatter point. Show them what real predators can do. The human fleet move is one, their formation shifting like a living thing. Quantum-tipped missiles struck precise points in the merged Dominion structure, while gravity beams created localized fields of crushing force. The crystalline megastructure began to crack, its perfect symmetry disrupted by carefully calculated attacks on his command screen. Santos watched the battle unfold with cold satisfaction. The Dominion had never faced an enemy like humanity, a species that had spent its entire history fighting, adapting, and overcoming impossible odds. They had no concept of what they had awakened as the battle raged on the Karth. Witnessed something unprecedented. The supposedly invincible Dominion fleet was being systematically torn apart by ships they could barely track using weapons they couldn't comprehend. Their saviors fought with a precision and ferocity that seemed impossible, their technology so advanced it appeared like magic. The message to the galaxy was clear: humanity had emerged from its isolation not as conquerors or invaders but as protectors, and they were more powerful than anyone could have imagined. The aftermath of battle painted an ethereal scene above KTH Prime. Crystalline debris sparkled in the binary starlight, creating an artificial asteroid field where the mighty Dominion fleet had once been, but the Terran ships gave no time for reflection. They had won the space battle, but the ground war remained. Multiple Dominion ground forces detected. Lieutenant Commander Riza reported her neural interfaces processing sensor data. They're entrenching themselves in the major cities using civilian populations as shields. Admiral Santos stood from his command chair, his enhanced muscles tensing beneath his uniform. They think we won't risk civilian casualties. They don't know humans very well, do they? He turned to his combat operations officer. Deploy the Ghost Walkers deep within the Thermopylae. Human troops prepared for ground deployment. The Ghost ER Corps represented the peak of human military evolution. Soldiers enhanced with cutting-edge biotechnology and armed with weapons that bent physics itself. Their powered armor was a second skin, black as space and nearly as silent. Commander Alina Vov checked her quantum rifle one last time before addressing her troops. Listen up, Ghost Walkers. The Dominion thinks they can hide behind civilians. We're going to show them why that was a mistake. AK Team Alpha will deploy stealth inhibitors to cut off their communion with the hive mind. Tin will evacuate civilians through quantum tunnels. Charlie Team, you're with me. We hunt drop pods launched from the human fleet, their stealth systems making them virtually invisible as they pierced the atmosphere. The Dominion forces looked up, their crystalline sensors detecting nothing but background radiation. The first sign of human presence came when entire squads of crystal warriors suddenly lost contact with their hive mind, their perfect coordination dissolving into chaos. Alina's pod landed silently in what had once been a Karth cultural center. Her armor sensors painted a tactical picture: crystalline warriors holding groups of Karth hostage, their elegant forms twisted with fear. The Dominion soldiers stood like statues, their faceted forms reflecting the dim light. Target analysis complete. Her reported structural weaknesses identified. Quantum ammunition calibrated. Alina moved like a shadow, her enhanced muscles and zero friction joints allowing motion that would have seemed impossible. The first Dominion warrior shattered before it could react. Quantum round striking precise points that propagated destruction through its crystalline form across the city. Similar scenes played out. Ghost Walkers emerged from darkness, their weapons precisely tuned to exploit every weakness in Dominion physiology. Where the crystalline warriors attempted to merge into larger forms, human soldiers deployed gravity bombs that disrupted their molecular bonds. A group of KTH watched in amazement as Alina personally freed them, her movements a blur, even to their advanced optical organs. One of them, wearing the markings of a senior scholar, spoke in halting universal standard. You move like liquid shadow. Are you truly organic beings? Alina's helmet retracted, showing her very human face. We're human. We evolved on a world with gravity almost twice what you're used to. Every step we take here feels like we're dancing on air. She helped an injured KTH to their feet. Your people called for help. We answered. The scholar's iridescent eyes widened. The stories were true about the Deathworld species that sealed themselves away. But why would such powerful beings help us? Before Elena could answer, her tactical display lit up with warnings. A massive Dominion form was approaching, a fusion of hundreds of warriors into a crystalline titan that towered over the buildings. Its voice resonated through the ground itself. Primitive organic creatures, your interference will not be tolerated. The harvest must continue. Belina's helmet snapped back into place as she pushed the civilians toward the quantum tunnel evacuation points. Get them out of here, she ordered her team. Then she looked up at the crystalline monstrosity and smiled behind her visor. Always wanted to try the new toys. Her armor hummed as it activated its most advanced systems. Quantum fields wrapped around her, allowing her to manipulate local spacetime itself. She launched herself upward, her movements breaking several laws of physics as she engaged the Titan directly. The Dominion entity lashed out with crystalline appendages, each strike carrying enough force to level a building, but Alina flowed around them like water, her enhanced body and advanced armor working in perfect harmony. Where the Titan tried to predict her movements, she shifted through quantum states, appearing where she couldn't possibly be. You call yourselves apex predators, she taunted as she planted quantum charges at key structural points, but you've never fought someone who evolved to survive impossible odds, never faced beings who turned their own worlds Attempts to kill them into strengths. The charges detonated in sequence, sending quantum resonance cascading through the crystalline structure. The Titan tried to compensate to redistribute its mass, but the attack had been perfectly calculated. With a sound like a mountain of glass shattering, the massive form collapsed as the dust settled. Alina stood among the crystalline shards, her armor barely scratched. The remaining Dominion forces across the city were already retreating, their hive mind consciousness shaken by the loss of so many components. They had never encountered enemies who could move like shadows, strike like lightning, and shatter their strongest forms with such precision. The Karth scholar approached her again, wonder and fear mingling in their expression. Reshin, your people, you're not just powerful, you understand warfare on a level we never imagined possible. Alina's helmet retracted again, her expression serious. We understand it because we've spent our entire history fighting against nature, against each other, against everything that tried to kill us. We learned to survive, then to thrive, then to protect. That's what humans do. Above them the Terran fleet maintained its vigilant watch, their black ships a promise to the galaxy. Humanity had emerged from isolation not to conquer but to defend. The age of hiding was over, and the Dominion was about to learn why Earth was called a death world. Deep within the secured quantum labs aboard the Thermop, Dr. Maya Patel studied the captured Dominion crystal fragments with growing concern. Her enhanced mind processed data streams from a dozen different quantum scanners, each revealing another layer of the crystalline entity's true nature. Admiral Santos, she called, her voice tense. You need to see this immediately. The Admiral arrived within minutes, his own neural interfaces already processing preliminary data. What have you found? Dr. Maya gestured to a holographic display showing the molecular structure of the crystal fragments. These are just living crystals, sir. They receivers, components of a vast communication network that extends far beyond our known space. The Dominion isn't just an empire, it's a foothold. She manipulated the display, showing energy patterns that pulse through the crystalline structure. They're not here to conquer or harvest, they're preparing this sector of space for something much worse. These crystals, they're terraforming tools, designed to reshape entire systems into something alien. Before Santo could respond, alarms blared throughout the ship. Lieutenant Commander Ree's voice cut through the command channel. Multiple quantum ruptures detected. Massive Dominion fleet emerging, at least 5,000 ships. Santos was already moving, his enhanced muscles carrying him to the bridge in seconds. The tactical display showed a nightmare scenario, the space around Karth Prime torn open by quantum breaches as crystalline ships poured through. These weren't like the previous vessels, they were darker, more angular, designed purely for war. All ships battle stations. Santos ordered, his voice calm despite the odds. Dr. Patel, I need options. Maya's voice came through the command channel, rapid and focused. The crystals are all networks sharing a quantum entangled consciousness. If we can disrupt that network. She paused, calculations racing through her enhanced mind. We need to create a quantum resonance cascade, but it would take more power than our entire fleet possesses. Santos watched as the new Dominion fleet approached, their formation perfect and inevitable. What about the binary stars? There was a moment of silence as Maya processed the implication. Yes, if we can trigger a controlled nova in the smaller star, the quantum fluctuations would be enough to shatter their network. But sir, that would mean sacrificing our position. The stealth systems wouldn't survive those energy levels. They already know we're here, Santos replied grimly. This isn't about hiding anymore. He opened a channel to all human ships. 7th Fleet, this is Admiral Santos. We now face the true might of the Dominion. They thought to reshape this galaxy into their image, to prepare it for something even worse. They forgot one thing: this galaxy already has protectors. The human fleet moved with deadly grace, their black ships forming new patterns that confused the Dominion's tactical algorithms. Santos continued, humanity hid galaxy because we remembered our own wars, our own mistakes. We built our strength in secret, not to conquer but to defend. Today we show everyone why Earth was called a death world. The battle erupted with impossible violence. Dominion ships fired crystalline beams that could cut planets in half, but human vessels phased through the attacks, their quantum drives bending reality itself. Where the crystalline fleet tried to predict movement patterns, they found only chaos. Humanity had learned long ago that predictability meant death. Commander Eling Volkov back aboard her ship led a strike team of smaller vessels through the Dominion formation. Their mission: plant quantum resonance devices at precise points around the smaller binary star. Each approach was a dance with death, human reflexes and technology tested against crystalline perfection. They're adapting to our stealth systems, Risa reported, her hands flying over tactical controls. Dominion ships are starting to track our signatures. Santos nodded. They learn fast. So do we. Execute Protocol Omega. Throughout the human fleet, ships began transmitting on frequencies that shouldn't have been possible, broadcasting quantum signals that played havoc with the Dominion's networked consciousness. The crystalline ships faltered, their perfect coordination showing cracks, but the Dominion's response was devastating. Their ships began to merge, forming massive geometric structures that warped space itself. Energy beams lanced out, finally finding their Mark's human vessels, their stealth compromised, took direct hits. The void filled with expanding clouds of plasma and debris. Resonance devices planted. Elena reported, her voice steady despite the chaos, awaiting final command. Santos looked at his tactical display. The human fleet had bloodied the Dominion badly, but they were outnumbered and increasingly outmaneuvered. The enemy was learning, adapting, becoming stronger just like humans. Would Dr. Patel, what are our chances? Maya's response was immediate. The cascade will definitely disrupt their network, but the quantum backlash, I can't guarantee any ship within 3 light minutes will survive. Santos smiled grimly. Then we make sure as many ships as possible get beyond that range. All vessels execute emergency quantum jumps on my mark. Commander Volkov, your team has 30 seconds to clear the blast zone. The Dominion pressed their advantage, their geometric superstructures closing in for the kill. They never realized it was exactly what humanity wanted, drawing them closer to the star that was about to become their doom. All ships marked. The quantum resonance devices activated simultaneously, their effect amplified by the star's massive energy. For a moment space itself seemed to hold its breath, then reality cracked. The binary star erupted in a cascade of quantum energy, its smaller companion transforming into a maelstrom of reality warping forces. The Dominion fleet, caught in their own geometric formations, couldn't react fast enough. The quantum resonance spread through their network consciousness like a virus, shattering the very foundations of their crystalline technology. From the bridge of the Thermop, now safely beyond the blast radius, Admiral Santos watched as space itself twisted and burned. The massive Dominion superstructures began to fragment, their perfect geometric forms dissolving as the quantum cascade disrupted their molecular bonds. It was beautiful in a terrible way, like watching a galaxy die and be reborn in the same moment. Signal disruption at 98%. Dr. Petal reported, her enhanced mind processing the sensor data. Their network is collapsing. The hive mind is fragmenting. The remaining Dominion ships, cut off from their collective consciousness, began to move erratically. Some tried to flee, their crystalline forms already showing cracks. Others, driven by some last directive, attempted to continue their attack, but without their network, without their perfect coordination, they were no match for human precision. All surviving ships form up. Santos ordered, let's finish this. The human fleet moved like predators, their black ships striking from impossible angles. What had begun as a desperate defense had become a hunting operation. One by one the remaining Dominion vessels were isolated and destroyed, their crystalline debris adding to the artificial asteroid field that now surrounded KTH Prime. Commander Elena Volkov's voice came through the command channel. Ground teams reporting in. The Dominion forces on the surface are they're shutting down. Without the network, they're just empty shells on the surface of Karth Prime. The surviving aliens emerged from their shelters to witness something unprecedented. The crystalline warriors that had terrorized them, that had seemed invincible, lay shattered and lifeless above them. The night sky was filled with the aftermath of battle. To brisk that sparkled like stars, and the dark shapes of human ships standing guard. The Karth scholar who had spoken with Elena approached a landing party of ghost walkers, their iridescent eyes wide with wonder. You did the impossible. You not only defeated them, you broke their very nature. The Lena's helmet retracted as she responded, humanity has spent its entire history doing the impossible. It's kind of our thing. Admiral Santos stood on the bridge of the Thermop watching his rescue and recovery operations began. Dr. Patel had joined him, her analysis of the battle's aftermath displaying on nearby holos screens. The quantum cascade did more than just defeat them, she explained. It revealed something in their base code coordinates buoyed deep in their crystalline structure. They were scouts, Admiral, preparing the sector of space for something much larger. Santos nodded grimly. How much time do we have BAS on the data? Years, maybe decades. Whatever they were preparing for, it's coming from outside our galaxy. The Dominion was just the advanced guard. The Admiral's enhanced vision focused on the distant stars, his expression determined. Then we have work to do. Humanity spent a century hiding, building our strength. Now we know why. In the days that followed, the galaxy learned of humanity's emergence in a way no one could ignore. The story spread quickly, how a mysterious fleet of black ships had appeared from nowhere, how they had not only defeated but utterly destroyed a force that had seemed unstoppable, how these Deathworlders fought with impossible precision and power. But more importantly, they learned what humanity intended to do with that power. 1 month after the battle, representatives from a 100 alien species gathered on a neutral station to meet humanity's diplomat. IC course. Admiral Santos stood before them, his uniform still bearing the marks of battle. We hid ourselves away because we remembered our own violent past. He addressed the assembly. We built our strength in secret because we knew that somewhere, sometime it would be needed. Today we stand before you not as conquerors, not as rulers, but as Guardians, he gestured to the holographic display showing the Dominion's coordinates. Something is coming, something that sees our galaxy as territory to be harvested and reshaped. The Dominion was just the beginning, but humanity has spent its entire history fighting impossible odds, surviving against forces that should have destroyed us. The alien representatives murmured among themselves, their various forms and features expressing a mix of fear and hope. The Karth scholar now serving as their species Ambassador spoke up. You offer to protect us, all of us.